There you go.
So much fun. I loved it.
You love it?
I loved it. So much fun.
Start will be a whistle. You're under neutral for the first 2 kilometres. Good luck.
This year I decided that I wanted to spend the winter, the off-season of triathlon, doing a lot more bike riding and trying to build my strength on the bike. So I had chosen a couple of events to do. One of those was Paluma Push, which I did a few weeks ago, and the other one was the Noosa Enduro. So it's a 60k ride, but with all the bad weather we've been having, had to reroute it, and it ended up being about 70 k's. So it went off in wave starts in age groups. So being 52, I was in the 50 to 59 age group, which was one of the later groups. So there was quite a few groups that went before me. So there was quite a few muddy sections from the rain that we've had recently. And I didn't really know what to expect. I knew there was some road, there was some single track and some gravel, kind of a real mix of stuff. The single track I haven't done a lot of lately, and I'm kind of the rider that needs to do things and need to have a lot of practice to get my confidence. So when I was going through the single track, I was probably a little bit slower than I would normally be if I'd had a lot of practice of that. I'm also much better once I've ridden a track a few times. I get more confidence from that. So the single track kind of slowed me down a fair bit. One of the things that I am good at is I actually have built a fair bit of strength. So going uphill, I managed to pass lots of people going uphill, and most of those were men. The ride was predominantly male, probably 3-to-1 male, maybe even 4-to-1 males compared to females. Again, on this single track, so I saw that guy coming behind me. I'm like, you can go through, because I knew he'd be faster, and otherwise I would have just had to stop to let him pass anyway. So this is Reenie Beanie. I think that's the only name I know her by. So she came up and chatted to us before the race and had just had a fall, but she was okay. So it was her nice bright outfit helped me to see her and know who it was. So then I just rode behind her for a little while, and then her friend caught up to her after that. So hopefully she's okay. I think she just had a little stack, as most people do at some point. There was a lot of road in this, so you jump on the road and be heading downhill or uphill, which was always really nice. So this part was pretty clayey, and you just had to make sure you stayed on that track that was made, because that was quite smooth going through there. The thing I loved about this was just you were never on the same kind of surface for very long, and even looking around, there was just so much variety. It seemed like every time you turned a corner, it was different. So there was a different surface. You were either road or trail or gravel, this kind of clay stuff. But looking around, there was either grassy bits, or there was, lots of trees, or it was open. There was just so much variety. And so you kind of didn't ever get bored, and I never felt like I was like, oh, I wish this part would end soon. And you do kind of have to know your skills. So here we went up this kind of steep bit, which obviously I walked up, and a lot of those guys did walk up that as well. And then I just let them go, because I know otherwise they would have just been on my tail and trying to pass me anyway. So, it didn't take long before I caught them anyway. They were it was good to actually have someone in front of you could see which way was the best way to go. But once, they got on their bikes and they were on them for a while, then they kind of just took off. There were so many just beautiful places here. So Noosa is not that far from home. And someone asked us recently, where would you like to go for a training camp if you could go anywhere? And, you know, I said Noosa because I thought there was a lot of places where you could train. And this really just opened my eyes up to so much more places you could train.
The horses are good with bikes.
Those horses were really good. A lot of horses get quite skittish with bikes. But really, Noosa, there were just so many different places and roads and you know, trails and things. It was so... I just loved it. I really loved this event. And as I said, one of my strengths is going uphill. So where my weakness might be that single track, the strength is going up the hill. And I just seem to be able to pass a lot of people going up the hill. So that's pretty cool. Pretty happy with that. Now we did a loop up here around this mountain that you can see ahead, and those people have already done that loop and are heading back. So they would have been in one of the earlier waves, which probably started, you know, 45 minutes before my wave started. And here comes our friend Mike in the orange here.
Go, Mike.
So he's already done that loop. And then we head out onto the road. And I knew he and Tim had been riding together, so I was curious to see where Tim was, and just around this corner you can see Tim coming around. There he is. And I called out to him. There he is there. I called out to him and said, how far have you gone? Because I wanted to know how far around this mountain it was. But, you know, we went past each other too quickly and he didn't hear me. So there was a feed station just before that, and I did stop and refilled my Infinite bottle. So I took some extra powder and just put that in and got some more water there, which I didn't film, and then headed up the hill.
30 k's, an hour 54.
There were some really nice downhills on the road. Which I think, on my mountain bike, I got up to, close to 50 k's an hour, which was pretty good on the mountain bike. And then more hills. And it was my goal to ride every hill. That was a little goal I'd set for myself for this ride. And I knew there was quite a bit of elevation in it. And I just wanted to ride as much of it as I could, particularly the hills, and just see how much stronger I have been getting. So you can see these two people in front, and the guy in the orange is actually helping push the other guy. So this doesn't look steep, and I feel like looking at it now, it looks like it's going downhill, but it wasn't, and it was quite steep. And then that guy was just like, yeah, I can't do it anymore. But I made that hill, and I actually made every hill. I climbed everything. And then you get rewarded with the sweet downhills. So here we come onto the power line track, and this was probably the hardest part of the course. Particularly coming down the hill, you'll see when I go over the hill, then there's light on parts of the track, and I struggled to see where the right line was in some of it. So this part wasn't too bad. But heading down further, it was just like you could see just where it's got the sun on it, and I couldn't quite see where the best place to go was. So I slowed right down there. My memory of this section was that there were lots of people around, but now when I look at the video of it, there's no one here. But I think further up there must have been people. So I was fairly slow coming down here just to, finding the right line. And then again, trying to find the best way to get up. Almost right in the grass there because I felt like that was the best spot. And a little steep pinch, and I made it.
Did it. And that one.
Yeah, I've been working a lot on my strength over this winter on the road bike and the mountain bike, and it's actually really nice when you see the results of that in like an event like this. So I find at the beginning of an event, it takes me a while to get into it. So the beginning, it was a neutral rollout. So we had a police car in front of us and they rolled out. And as soon as the police car went, people just took off. And I was like, oh, I just can't keep up. But, 1, 2, 3 hours into the event, then I just really start to find my legs. And I feel like, oh, I feel great now. And, this was probably, maybe 3 hours in. And you can see I'm still passing people. And these people would have started earlier than me. So, I really feel like I get a lot better the longer an event goes. So these parts were the fun parts. I feel like some of the downhills I just ran out of gears. I just need a bigger gear again to be able to push down. I'm a bit disappointed with this part because I can see all these people in front of me went round to the left to go over that board. And then I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to be able to manage to do that. And I should have done what this guy did and just gone straight through it. So if those people in front had gone straight through, I would have followed them and gone straight through and would have been able to make it. As it was, I got off and just walked across that board. And still passing people. So even though most of the ride it feels like there's no one around, every now and then you come across someone and you pass them. And then some more horses going into another trail there. So there must be so many trails in and out around there. I'd love to go back and explore again another time.
So I'm at 50 Ks and 3 hours 10. $18 kilometers to go. That would be about 69, maybe 70.
So really good going up hills. Got the strength going up hills. Whereas I think a lot of the men I passed, I think, were pretty good downhill and with their single track skills, but uphill not so strong. And this was a fun little, I think it was only about 1 kilometre towards the end. It was a fun little single track. And it was so lush, obviously having so much rain previously in the last few months. Everything was so green. It was just beautiful in there. So they really did a great job marking the course. It was really clear, really easy to see where you were going. A great job linking all these tracks up. And my GoPro battery did die.
Here she comes. You're done.
I was like, oh, is that the end? Is that the end? I just wanted to keep going. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Mine only not that long ago.
No, mine died with about, 30k to go.
So much fun, I loved it.
You love it?
I loved it, so much fun.
Thanks for racing with me.